Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
There's going to be a theme word for tonight's stream. I'm gonna play it right now for everybody. It's sick. Number 1, the Flames make me sick. Number 2, the Leafs are pretty sick. Number 3, I, in case you can't hear it, am incredibly sick. Welcome to Game Over Calgary. This is going to be a good one. We got a good show lined up for you today on the heels, despite of a Calgary Flames 2-1 loss. 2-1 loss. I did not expect it to be that low scoring against the Toronto Maple Leafs live from the Scotiabank Saddledome. My name is Auddie James. 2 guests to my left and right. You can see them. Robert. Hello, Robert. Not modding,
hello.
Taking a break from modding tonight and producing, joining us. And my good friend Sebastian. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you both doing?
Man, I'm a lot worse than you two are right now. I'll tell you that much. That much.
I could have been worse. I was worried I was going to be worse, and then I wasn't. So that's nice.
Yeah. It was not good for the Calgary Flames. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna deep dive it from a Leafs perspective, because you guys obviously, based on the chest of the jersey, we know exactly where your loyalties lie, and it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. But before that, want to bet? Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond, and March Madness is on deck. Hey, at least the 3 of us can agree on the Blue Jays. We're excited for the Blue Jays. The boys of summer are just about back. Some preseason action. We're getting close to baseball season. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN, or if you're in the province of Ontario, you can download the app on the screen now using the QR code. It's just at the bottom of the screen. You can see it just beside Sebastian's face there. Scan that QR code, download the Sports Interaction app. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. And if you or anybody you know has any issues with gambling, please be sure to check the show notes. There are some resources there for you and your loved ones or whoever it may be to get help there. So please be sure to check those out as well. Okay, I mentioned the Flames making me sick. I'm already sick, and the Flames, they continue to disappoint me. They continue to frustrate me. I want to start from a bit of a Flames perspective, and maybe Seb, I'll start with you. This year has kind of been. I was explaining it to Rob before we went, or before you hopped on the call. It seems like the Flames issues are just rinse and repeat. It's the same bucket of issues and problems that they go through, but it's not always the same on any given night. One night it might be, hey, we maybe needed that extra save. One night it might be, hey, we probably should finish on some of these chances. And for the Flames tonight, I think it was mostly the chances, because Jacob Markstrom, for my money, I think played one of the best games that he's played all season for the Calgary Flames. What were you seeing the same thing tonight from Calgary?
Yeah, they kind of played a game that I expected Calgary to play. Just low event, very boring. They don't adapt on the fly at all. They really stick to their guns, and that's what's going to get them in trouble. There's the talent's always been there. I know that there's been some big changes from last year, but you're still running out a near 100-point Nazem Kadri, and you're still running out, Jonathan Huberdeau, who had a historic season last year. Talent's still there. I think the issues are behind the bench, and they need to fix that if they want to take this team somewhere. It's stale. It's very boring.
You're preaching to the choir here. I think that if you've been in these streams, and a lot of people that are in here have been on these streams before and have heard me talk about my not disdain towards the head coach, but definitely the differences in opinion, maybe the differences in deployment. Like you mentioned, there's just it's stale hockey. It's a lot of perimeter shots. We talked about it on the last game over I did, where the Flames are second in, at least they were at the time, second in the league in shots per game, but their shooting percentage is among the worst in the league. I think they were 29th at the time, and anybody who understands those statistics should know that those two stats should not be as far apart as they are. So it's definitely a frustrating time. here for the Calgary Flames. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the Leafs too. We got to remember the hand that feeds, the SDPN portion of the game over Calgary. We can't. It's always, how does this affect the Leafs? I wanted to touch on a couple Leafs things before we get too far into Flames land, because I think the Leafs are a super intriguing team. Kyle Dubas seemingly pushing all his chips in the middle. I'll start with Sebastian, then I'll go over to you, Rob, after. Do you think the Leafs are done? Like, we're on the heels of the trade deadline here tomorrow. Do you think that that Kyle Dubas has made his moves and that's it, or do you anticipate that there's going to be something else coming down the line here?
I think something's going to come down the line here. And it's very hard to get a read because as much as the insiders, the mainstream insiders do have their list of trade bait and who's up there. The way this has gone, I don't think anybody has any idea. I've been listening to the SDP lately, and I'm not of the opinion that goaltending is 100% a super strong need. But I'm starting to lean towards, if you're gonna make all these touches up and down your lineup, then touching up the goaltending, which has been fine, but somewhat unreliable health wise. That's something that they can work on. But I think by the way you've seen some of these players tonight, I think that some of them are fighting for their spot in the lineup, like a Justin Hall or an Alex Kerfoot. It's kind of been on record that they're not super popular on moving them, but there's going to be a lot of internal competition, and they're going to probably bring in another body or two for depth. So we'll see, but I don't think he's done at all.
Internal competition is always good. Rob, I'll flip it to you. Thoughts, comments, and to kind of piggyback off what Sebastian said, I think what you were referencing there from the SDP was Adam maybe suggesting that they go for Thatcher Demko. Was what he predicted would be the Leafs' last move or the next move. And Rob, your 2 cents on what do you think, man? What are the Leafs? What has Dubas got up his sleeve now?
That was his prediction. And then he immediately tweeted after we got Luke Shen as Thatcher Shenko. So that was also very fun. To me, at least, this is like before the Luke Shen trade, which has been kind of like rumored, like, oh, we'd really like to have Luke Shen. But then we didn't think Luke Shen was possible because we got Eric Gustafsson. We'll get back to Eric Gustafsson at some point because the first Flames goal is a little bit of his fault. But no, I don't think the Leafs are done. We've heard enough people telling us that Dubas isn't done, and this is him going all in. Dubas is not signed to a contract next year.
Mm-hmm.
And at least a lot of Leafs Nation, if there's people who dislike him, of course, but a lot of Leafs Nation knows if he's not signed to the Leafs next season, somebody will take this man. Somebody will take our cardigan wearing man from us. So,
I would like to volunteer the Calgary Flames.
I think there's a few in the audience, you in the back. Hello, hello, Buffalo State. Like, somebody would happily take this man. And so this is Kyle Dubas. Also, I think he wants to stay. And I think for years we've been like, oh, did Dubas do enough? Oh, did Dubas do enough? And Dubas is going, you want me to do more? Here you go. And we also know that Dubas doesn't care that, at least it doesn't feel like he cares that much about draft picks right now, because we've seen him draft really well in low rounds, and we're starting to see our picks that Dubas has selected himself come up from the woodwork. And this is a lot of our depth right now. And the fact that he's done all of these trades so far without trading any of those top prospects is fascinating. And what can he do now? I don't know who gets flipped. It's got to be at this point a body off the roster. Like, we played 11-7 tonight because there were 2 new defensemen in this game who played their first game, and 2 guys played their first game as Leafs yesterday.
Yep.
Like, we are having a lot of, like, he's rebuilding, like, a bottom 6 is being built on the fly. Achari and O'Reilly have had like 2 practices at Leaf. We're in the middle of a 5-game road trip. We have 1 more game against Vancouver on Saturday before they go home. But the thing I really admire about Dubas and the people he's built around him is he can keep his cards quite close to his chest. Like, we hear a little bit on Sportsnet, TSN, the CJ Show, all these places, like, oh, the Leafs were looking at Matthias Ekholm. Oh, the Leafs were looking, but we never got directly that the Leafs were in on Luke Shen before we got Luke Shen to Toronto. We didn't hear that he was trading Rasmus Sandin until we got Rasmus Sandin to Washington. He's able
Mhm.
to play. The people around him are able, like he has these cards close to his chest. So no, I don't think he's done. What's he looking for? Maybe not another defenseman. I'm okay. Like, we're good. I do still think it's a winger. We saw at a couple different times tonight. Tavares, fun fact, who has always played as a center, has been playing on the wing. That's been a fun experiment. Is John Tavares' best left winger John Tavares? Who knows? But we also saw John Tavares at 2C and O'Reilly at 3C. Who are those wingers? And Alex Kerfoot has been put there, and Callie Yarncroke moves around the lineup, and all these bodies are moving. My guess is it's a solid second line left winger. That's my I would think they're going winger, or like they could go depth forward, but at this point, I don't think it's defenseman. I also don't know if it's goalie. I would not be surprised if it's a goalie, but it's weird. I could see them go, but my guess is a winger over a goaltender because I think
That just
Dubas
fits.
has, yeah.
That just fits your agenda because you want Tyler Toffoli so badly to be a Toronto Maple Leaf,
Listen.
and I will give him to you for the low price of Matthew Nyes.
Nice. I was waiting for that.
Because that fits my agenda. That fits my agenda.
Toffoli's got he's got another year on his contract at 4.250 if Calgary would be willing to retain. And if you'd like, we have a first round draft pick available. It might be the 32nd, but that's besides the point.
What, you mean Boston's not going to drop out of the playoff
Hall.
picture and all of a sudden it's a lottery pick?
I mean, I don't think they need it to. They don't need the top 10 protect that one. I think you're all right there, guys.
I think so too. I think so too. Hey, and similarly, to bring it back to Flamesland, because of course the title of the show is Game Over Calgary. Similarly to the Leafs, Brad Treliving is without a contract beyond this season too, and I don't know what the Flames are going to do. And I think a lot of people are kind of in the same boat here. I haven't looked too much at chat because there's actually a lot of people in here putting a lot of really good comments, and we'll get to some of them in a little bit here. But yeah, the Flames are kind of stuck, and as James Johnson and a lot of other Flames fans like to say, stuck in this perpetual mediocrity, stuck in the middle. The way I like to say, it's too good to be bad, but too bad to be good. They're kind of just stuck in this bit of a lull here. Seb, let's start with you. If you're Brad Treliving tomorrow on trade deadline day, you buying or you selling?
I'm selling.
Thank you. I agree.
Here's the thing though. This is the weird thing, and I think they kept talking about on the broadcast that Calgary would have to go like 15-6 or something like that, in order to squeak in somewhere second wild card maybe. The West is it's very weird this year because it's just there for the taking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Edmonton's not. I'm not as bought into them as a lot of other people are, but there's a solid opportunity for them to run away with it, and they're not. I don't know. I think they're gonna have a hard time getting through whoever comes out of the West, but like it's wide open. So like there's a path here for if you get in, there's a path.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think this is the time Calgary should be reevaluating because you don't need Calgary locked up a few of those players with long-term contracts in the off season and early into the season. Mackenzie Weegar, Jonathan Huberdeau, Kadri's there until the day he retires. There's not necessarily a rush. I mean, those guys are getting older, but they're still going to be very good hockey players for the next 4 to 5 years. But there's certain pieces that you could easily move around now and give yourself opportunities to rebuild through the draft, which I don't know if that's the way Calgary wants to do it, because I think outside of 2016, I think that they only have one meaningful contribution in their lineup that was a draft pick, so the last 7 or 8 drafts, and it's Dylan Dubé.
Yeah, they haven't been very good at graduating players, and to follow up to that point, do you think I mean, I think I know your answer to it, but is it the guy behind the bench that's preventing this from happening? Like AHL Calgary right now, the Wranglers have, you know, Robert. You know, I've been beating the Matty Phillips drum, and I know Seb, you're a prospects guy, but like Matt Coronado, maybe he signs when he's done in Harvard. We don't know yet. The ball seems like it might be in the Flames' court. He said on record to Eric Francis that he wants to sign. But will the coach, will he want him to start in the NHL right away? Will he want him to play in the American Hockey League? Like, I think a lot of this reluctancy is coming from the guy behind the bench. Like, I think the Flames have those pieces. They're just underutilizing them. Seb, based on what you know, would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like look at how he's handled, questions in the media about prospects coming up this year. He's been kind of a giant d-bag. Like
Yeah.
I can't believe that clip is real. That
The
clip
Peltier
is
one?
real. What's his number? Reads his stat card. That's a real clip.
Mm-hmm.
I get why. Look, I was around when I've been around this game. I still remember watching Gretzky on TV. I've been around this game a long time. I remember when he was in Calgary for his first ride there, and I get the nostalgia around it. I get it. What I don't understand is this game passed him years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This game passed him years ago, and people look at last year and that little bit of success, if you want to call that, in Calgary. I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't, because the way that they got eliminated in the second round wasn't pretty.
No, God, no.
It wasn't pretty, and like, I don't know what it is with Markstrom all of a sudden becoming a junior C goalie against the Oilers, but like it wasn't pretty, and people are gonna put whatever success you guys had last year on Sutter, and not Goudreau's playing for lifetime money, and Kachuk saw the writing on the wall. He knew that if he had a good season, that people. He didn't just come up with that plan to ask for a trade and not resign.
They're not stupid.
Overnight. That was building.
Ready.
He knew that if he played out of his mind, that was always going to be there. Like, that was going to be an option. So, like, it's time to move on from him as an organization. And if I'm the GM right now without a contract, I think you're kind of stuck with him, because then you have somebody that you can pin this on at the end of the season. Where if you fire him now, when the off season comes, and if Calgary misses, which it's the likely scenario at this point. He doesn't have anybody to blame but himself.
Yeah.
And that's a tough sell to ownership, especially him walking in there without a contract. So, I think that he should be selling off whatever he can. Robert said it earlier, nobody knew about Rasmus Sandin. Toronto's not the only one with a Rasmus Sandin on the roster that they would like to move. Young pieces that can develop with your core over the next couple of years. It'll give you a new, fresh window.
Yeah.
Go out and make some of those moves. Sell off the players who are UFAs at the end of this year, or RFAs that might need a fresh new home. Get some of your AHL players up there, because you got to start having something showing from your development. Otherwise, it's just going to be, Montreal Canadiens stale.
Yeah.
They didn't develop prospects for like 12 seasons or something like that. Like a meaningful prospect. You don't want to run into that bad habit. And Calgary has drafted some studs. Like, there's some very good Jacob Pelches in there.
Pelche.
There's I
Like
could go
Rasmus
on.
Anderson, I'm sure you watched him in the OHL. Like, he's developed himself into be like, he's a homegrown talent there. And yeah, it's the reluctancy to like, they're developing well. That's the thing that blows me away, is like their prospects are seemingly developing like steadily and like pretty decent. Like, we see Jacob Peltier, he's making an impact. He's about the only person on the ice at any given time who gives a shit, and he plays with passion. I mean, I guess you could say
Such a firework.
yeah, exactly. And like the connection there with Huberto, the French connection, like the father-son thing is like super
So
cute and like it's like it was meant to be. But I mean, like aside from Blake Coleman tonight, there weren't really many players on the Flames who looked like they gave a shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, to bring it back to the prospects, like the fact that they constantly neglect the farm, it's a little bit concerning given that Daryl Sutter himself spends a bit of time on his own farm. But before we continue, I'm just going to acknowledge we got 71 people watching live right now. Appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. That's awesome. Be sure to share the stream, like the stream. It helps with us to get numbers and engagement numbers, and the algorithm does its thing. Rob, you know way more about that than I do, so I'm going to stop.
There's numbers.
Just
there's numbers involved.
That's all.
There's math.
But
I'm
we're
not
gonna
doing the math, but there's math.
we're gonna go to the chat for a little bit here and bring up some comments. A lot of love for Rob, Conrad. Obviously, we knew Conrad was gonna be in here. Hello. Mason says, "Are you sure this isn't game over Toronto? You're outnumbered." Yes, I am, and rightfully so. And you know what? It's reflective of the score: 2 Leafs, 1 Flame. Yeah, it's kind of it's like it was meant to be. It's like we wrote the script on this game tonight.
I just picked up the phone, was like, okay.
Yeah. Left-handed Penman, good to see you as well. Thanks for stopping by again, as always. Saying that the Flames are the Isles of the West, except our GM is a coward.
Oh.
Sharp word. And like I kind of want to get into the talk a little bit more about the deadline. Obviously it's a big topic. It's tomorrow. We'll get into it a little bit more because the Flames are I don't know what they're gonna do. And yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit. James Johnson saying very nice that the Leafs got a win at home. And that's just like I went to a Leafs Flames game, would have been 4 years ago, and it was 95% Leafs, 5% Flames. It's crazy how many Leafs fans are out here.
Calgary connection.
Yeah, everybody's from Ontario out here, including myself. And yeah, it's crazy. Everybody comes out here and keeps rooting on the Leafs. It's pathetic to hear a "This is our house" chant coming from Leaf fans at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Yeah, that happened. They don't look well coached at all. Yeah, they're definitely not well coached. People saying Dubas to the Flames. Flames need to score if they are to do anything in the playoffs, and for a playoff push is the most likely thing. Thinking of an organization. Dubas doesn't want to be Murray and Sutter's whipping boy. That's a very good point as well.
Not wrong.
Murray
He's
Edwards.
already done that once.
Yeah.
He's okay.
Yeah, no. J Money saying 2023 first for Ristolainen. There is the Flyers fan coming out on you, J Money.
There you go.
There was a point here that I wanted to bring up. Where was it? I'm losing it here. I wanted to talk. We'll leave a break for the chat. Keep catching up and putting your comments in. I wanted to talk about, because Seb, you brought up a really good point about getting in the West, and like just looking at how stacked the East has gotten in the last 8-9 days. Like every team in the East is loading the hell up, and it's making for great content. It's making for like big deals. Like everybody wanted the NHL to follow the NBA and be like, okay, trade, superstar, this guy, that guy.
You got it.
We got it. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a path to the playoffs, agree or disagree, the East is going to be a goddamn bloodbath. Like they are going to be battle tested early. Like it's going to be some pretty intense matchups, and I'm not saying the West is going to be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, but could you foresee a team going the distance from the East and just being beat to shit by the time they get to the Cup final when it's time to match up against the West?
There's, at least for me, and then Seba, if you want to go, there's 2 scenarios here. One, the easiest round for an Eastern team in the playoffs is going to be the Stanley Cup final. Like that's option 1. Option 2 is the scenario you're thinking, is that they are all preparing for war, and 5, 6, 7 series that go the difference, bang and crash. The pickups that the Leafs are making are very clearly bangy and crashy, and you're willing to spend 5 draft picks for Tanner Jeannot because you know he's the one that can help you beat another team. Like they might be kind of not doing great by the time they get to the Cup final, but if you're looking at a team like you're looking at any team, like one team, you win a playoff series and you go for a sprint, like they just sprint through the rest of the playoffs. And you might have that answer of what that looks like by the who comes out of the first round and how damaged they are by the first round. Boston hitting 100 points tonight in 61 games, like
So
how much does a
gross.
toll take? It's disgusting. I don't want to think about that. I've decided I'll feel better once we'll see you later. We'll see you in round 2. We'll talk when we need to. But that's the question of is like, what are you coming out of? Are you coming out broken? Is that why the Leafs are getting 7, 8, 9 defensemen? Because you're preparing to be like the Vancouver Canucks on their run who use 13 defensemen? Like, is that what you're preparing for? Is that the depth that you're looking for? I don't know. Seb?
Yeah,
Who's
let me know what you
fighting?
think, Seb. I'm actually really intrigued to know what you guys think.
Yeah, it's gonna be the first 2 rounds in the East are gonna be a war. And it's very easy to look at the Bruins and say, hey, yeah, they're the favorite. They're gonna play in the Stanley Cup, but they got to stay healthy. They're not necessarily the youngest team. You know, Tampa Bay, they're gonna, you got Corey Perry and Pat Maroon and Belmar down on in your bottom 6, and they're closer to over the sun here than they are, meaningful difference makers, and they've played a lot of hockey since 2018-19.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very tight. I think whoever comes out of the East, it can go 2 ways. Either you're going to run through whoever comes out of the West, or you're going to be so beaten up and bruised that the West is going to have a fighting chance. But again, this is the NHL.
Yeah.
There's no, as much as there are a lot of teams tanking, they're still full of NHL players. So there's still got to get to that point of game 1, and you got to get there healthy. It's weird because there's a lot of things that can change between now and then. It's that first round is going to be a ton of fun, and I think even last year it was unreal, the first round, and I cheer for a team who notoriously can't get out of the first round.
We know.
But
No.
so when I say, hey, the first round last year was really fun, it's because like I'm invested in the team, but I'm not so like emotionally invested anymore that like life is over.
How can
as
you
we
be
know
at
it
this
when the
point?
Leafs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be crazy. And again, like just who the West right now, you know, and because it's a buyer's market, Edmonton's not they're not giving up a whole ton for the improvements that they make, and LA, they didn't really pay the I mean that room might have taken it. There might be a morale
Yeah,
hit
there might be
there, really.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say a morale
Yeah.
issue more than anything,
we
but
we got a
I'm
little
ve-
bit of that, but that one in LA, oh,
I'm confused at what Vegas is doing, and if
you
I
find
I
out.
don't yeah, it's I don't know, it's gonna be wild. Like I said earlier, there is a path here if Calgary decides to choose, but the thing is, the players that they would have needed are already off the market. So unless a team's calling you Friday at 250 with a top six winger
those guys are
and depth
gone.
and depth pieces that are
Later.
better than I like Trevor Lewis, but you can't be running Milan Lucic out here 58, 59 games a year anymore. That's really got to come to an end. I feel for the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can find ways to improve there, then so be it. But I think that the players that Calgary would have been looking at are already off the market, and you know there's no
My,
sense in overpaying at this point.
Yeah, I think the focus
my
needs to be like pivot and like quickly, like not quickly, but pivot and retool on the fly. Like
retool.
it doesn't have to be it. Like I don't think at least it's got to be a strip down to the studs and start from scratch. Like you mentioned before, Seb, there's a lot of long-term contracts on the like if you open up cap friendly right now, Kadri, Huberto, Uyghur, you know, Toffoli's got this year and next year. Like it's going to be those guys that they can probably get some decent value for. And, pending UFAs, not this season, but the season after, there's a market for those guys. We've seen Nino Niederreiter got moved. I can't remember off the top of my head, but players with term have been shopped around a little bit. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility to think that they could at least explore that option. If teams come calling for some of your best guys, you at least got to pick up and entertain it at least. Yeah, like
is Tree Living willing to admit that defeat? Like, is he willing to make? That's my question. My answer for buy sell.
I just don't know if it's a defeat though. Like it's because like the Flames have gone through the ringer this offseason. They lost their two best guys. Sean Monahan was like obviously his best years as a Flamer were behind him, but he also went through double hip surgery. He was a fan favorite, a glue guy in the room, wore an A for a reason for as long as he did. They went through some pretty big trials and tribulations and changes this offseason. So like, I'm not saying that this kind of season should be expected, but it kind of makes sense. Like and the biggest issue is got to be behind the bench. The system, like you mentioned, Seth, the game has the game has moved on from Daryl Sutter and his system. And I honestly think that a new coach, I think Huberdeau, and actually I'm in a group chat. I write for a site called the Win Column, and a really good, while we were on here, I saw it pop up. This one coming from Josh in that group chat. It reminds him of Jeff Skinner under Ralph Kruger. And everybody winces at that, but like, can you draw the comparison there with Jonathan Huberdeau under Daryl Sutter? Like Huberdeau does not look A, comfortable, B, like himself, and like the list can go on. But
that's a different guy. If you told me if you were a brand new hockey fan and you told me that this player and last year's player were the same guy, I'd have questions. And the thing I at least think for the Flames, do you want to be retooling in the first year of the Huberdeau, Kadri, Weegar deals, or do you want to be rebuilding in the fourth year? Do you want to have these guys be this competitive long stretch, have a second, third, fourth, like have these stretches of playoff success and long-term and joy in the fan base? Or do you want to just see what happens and do, like, the answer is the Flames might do the thing that nobody wants, no Flame fan wants, and stay still. And they'd be one of the only teams that does it. I think they would be the only team that does it.
They're the only team to not make a trade this season, I believe now. Yeah. So. Yeah,
but if I had a nickel for every time I watched a team give up on Daryl Sutter, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happening twice. It's like, that's what it is. We're watching it on the ice. We're watching it. We're seeing an agent get involved on Twitter. Like, we're seeing the fractions in this of like what it means. The Leafs fans in the chat, or if they're probably watching Game Over Toronto.
They're probably watching Toronto.
It's possible, but like in that, like we call it the blender in the third period for Sheldon Keefe. He loves to get out the blender. We saw it in this game because it's 11-7, and we're seeing our new players. Daryl Sutter has thrown his blender out the window. Mm-hmm. If that's the lines of the night, those are the lines for the night.
And he doesn't line match. He doesn't line match. How many times did you see the Lucic line out when Austin when 34 was on the ice for the Leafs? For Christ's sake.
So like
too much.
You got to be willing to move a little, at least move a little bit. It doesn't need to be completely have a new third and fourth line, because fun fact, building chemistry is nice. We're literally trying to do that with 20 games left, about to go into war with Tampa. Mm-hmm. So is this the best idea? That's not my decision to make, but you have to be willing to make some adjustments. But I always know when I look at the Flames lines for the night, those are the Flames lines for the night. They're probably not switching much. You might see a player get demoted. You might see him benched. You're not going to see adjustments.
You see the odd, you see the occasional, it's never an adjustment. It's usually just like I was at a game once, and I remember it was when Phillips, I believe, was up, or was it Phillips? I can't remember. Either way, it was, it was when Lucic was playing in the top 6. It was
I don't miss that.
No, nobody should. And again, it's my disdain is not to Milan Lucic. I want to make that very clear. There's a lot of times where I bitch about Milan Lucic, and the disdain is not towards the player. The disdain is towards the deployment of the player, because I think it's no secret. We've talked about it. His best years are behind him. He is being utilized, or had been utilized, very poorly by Daryl Sutter previously this season. But yeah, a couple times he's done it where it's like after a penalty kill, the guy will stay out there and everybody gets a glimmer of hope. Oh my God, he changed the lines, and then the whistle goes and it's back to regular. Okay,
That's what I mentioned earlier. Is
Yeah.
that he doesn't he doesn't adapt on the fly. Like,
there's no adjustment.
look, as frustrating as Sheldon Keefe can be at times with the way that he deploys certain players, Justin
Riley
Hall in the
Hall.
top pairing, yeah, and I like
Justin Hall.
Justin Hall, but like, come on, we gotta stop
please.
playing this man 20 minutes a game. What are we doing?
Yeah.
But like,
Cool.
as much as he frustrates me with that, there's some sort of creativity, and some of it I think might be a panic. But I'd rather my coach panic in game and start just throwing stuff out there, and just trying to find something that works, and then this grumpy old, 100 times
So grumpy.
recycled man behind the bench, like, nope, we're doing this my way.
Yeah.
Like, really? We're not gonna like the goalie the coach carousel. I get he had success. I understand he had the cups. I watched him get them. I watched him do this. Like, we've seen. You cannot tarnish your legacy of being this reigning wonderful coach, and also understand that maybe you should go be a farmer. I play a farmer in Stardew Valley. It's really fun. Being a farmer's great. Like, come on.
When they talk about, they went up to him on a farm and they rehired him and stuff like that. It's like, okay, if that wasn't, like, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Red flag.
This guy was so far from an arena. Like, he had left hockey behind. He was done.
Yep.
And they ignored that. They were, like, look, the one thing that I give Oilers and Leafs and Habs and a few other teams, one thing I give them credit for is hiring coaches that will adapt to today's game. These coaches are heavily involved. They hold their players accountable when the time is right, and they try to create an environment for success. And Daryl created that 30 years ago. He
created it 10 years ago.
He's not trying to recreate it now. He's just trying to bring old strategies and what made him successful 10 years ago. He's trying to do it now. And this is why, I wonder about someone like Milan Lucic, who, despite everything, I don't hate the guy. I read somewhere that he's got like a back, there's a back issue there that he was born with. The fact that he was able to play as many games as he has in the role that he has for this long is incredible. He's had a great career. I don't even know if I'd invite that guy to a camp on a PTO next year. So, Calgary just, and I get, you got to play him. You don't want to buy him out now. Otherwise, you're paying him for the next 10 years. But, they keep trying to.
Sorry, go ahead.
They just keep trying to force that to make it happen, and it's, I don't know. I think that they're too deep in right now that I'm actually leaning closer to what Robert had mentioned, where it might just do nothing, and that's a big mistake.
Well, I mean, you talk about Robert and Seb. You both said that Dubas keeps a lot of things close to the chest. There's not a whole lot that gets out with Brad Treliving either. Like Ryan Leslie, who's like the local guy here for Sportsnet, is usually the one who breaks anything Flames related before Friedman, before Sarah Valley. So it's like those guys don't even really know, really truly know what's going on. And the fact that it's been this quiet. The deadline's tomorrow. They haven't done anything. They continue to stink. They continue to show no direction. It's frustrating, and it's like, you gotta shit or get off the pot. Like to use that
call.
like seriously, you do. You gotta shit or get off
Mhm.
the pot. You either gotta commit to selling off and getting assets back. Like it doesn't, like we said, we don't have to. It does not have to be a complete strip it down to the studs rebuild. Like I for one am really keen on what St. Louis is doing. They're selling off aging UFAs. They're getting assets that are younger back in. They're getting draft capital. I know that the Flames don't really have the same luxury for penning UFAs. I mean, Trevor Lewis and Milan Lucic are penning UFAs. There's negative value there. But like some of these guys, like Michael Backlund's got a year left after this one. Elias Lindholm has a year after this one, right? Like, don't be
My
Chris
boy.
Tanev. Yeah, Tyler Toffoli's got a year left, and his stock has got to be pretty high right now. He's having a great year.
Stonks.
Yeah, so like you got to take advantage in a market like this too, where teams are going out and buying those kind of players.
Go ahead.
I said this on Twitter, and I think this is kind of like, as somebody who, and I feel like this is the weird thing about doing this show with like Seb, who like also loves the Leafs, and Auddie, who really loves the Flames. I watch a lot of Flames games. I follow wherever Tyler Toffoli plays, and it's led me here. I'm sorry or you're welcome, but like it's this weird. I said this, but I don't know if this game, this particular Calgary game on a second half of a back-to-back with some travel, because we played a terrible game against Edmonton, like laid the egg against Edmonton. Baby goalie is in net in Joseph Woll, who is our current backup. Like 6 new dudes are here. So many people. All the Swedes are gone. 2 of the Swedes are gone. Like our boys are gone. Like there's a lot of change happening. Like I don't know if this game changes what the Leafs are doing. This game, and I'm wondering, I'm like, this game probably changes Calgary more than it changes the Leafs. And I'm super curious if this game is like, are you kidding me? We couldn't beat this team rested. We couldn't make a real good game out of it rested. Our goalie gave us this, and you gave us this. Like, I can't see watching that foot as a game, knowing that the opponent is not paying attention to you. Like knowing that like we're playing 3 games in Fortnite, like we're like, oh, I'd really like to win, but like we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what you do as a Calgary team. Like you got to look at this as something, especially when you have assets to trade and people are making moves and you're getting draft picks back. Are you able to sell Toffoli as much as you would in the offseason? No. Are you able to get maybe a first round pick for Tyler Toffoli? Still yes. Or a player like Toffoli or any of the other like players listed. I just love him.
Of those 4 players, that Auddie had just mentioned a moment ago there,
Backlund.
I mean, you know, if you can find some salary retention on them, you could get first, no problem. Like
I don't see why not.
People, I think people overvalue what first round picks are. And here's the thing: as much as I'm very much that Calgary should be doing a better drafting and development, I think it was Liz Hood or Howd or however you said her name. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. Yeah,
no, you're good.
She had did a thing a little bit ago where she had talked about how building through the draft is actually a bad idea. And there are certain positives and negatives. Like the positive is that you're putting assets in your system. And if they develop properly, then you can turn those assets into pieces to either plug in your lineup while you're trying to make a cup run, or you can sell them and bring pieces in while you're trying to make a cup run. So like from an asset standpoint, building through the draft is a great idea, but like you gotta have the proper development staff. And as much as some prospects have, like I mentioned, we're like 7 or 8 drafts deep here with the Flames, and they've got very little to show for it. And we were talking about Sean Monahan earlier. That's the draft that really killed it for Calgary, because if I'm not mistaken, that was the year they had 3 picks, and
do you know who the
absolutely
other ones
butchered. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was Emile Poirier, and
I can't remember the third one. That's why I was leaning on you. I just knew that it was Poirier. Chat will definitely catch us up, or Rob. Rob is quick too, but sorry. Continue your point.
That's just it started there. You know, maybe this organization just needs a reset, bring in a fresh mind. Um, and I think Trey Living's done fine. I think that the one thing that he has butchered has been, you know, maybe not cashing out on some assets when he should have.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the coaching decision here, you know, but
I gotta give him a
there's
bit of a like pass on that because I believe I can't remember if it was just on the heels of because the Bill Peters bullshit was pre Jeff Ward. They promoted Jeff Ward on a obviously impulse that because of all that fucking shit that happened with that donkey. But then the Jeff Ward thing didn't work, and I think that was like he was on thin ice to begin with. He brings in Sutter, fan favorite, ownership loves him. I think that was a desperation thing for Sutter, because I think that he was gone if he didn't do something that impressed ownership, and Daryl Sutter is what impresses ownership for some fucking mysterious reason.
Adam Wild suggested that too.
Yeah, because I've been texting Adam Wild a lot about the Daryl Sutter situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's because him and I went back and forth about, I said, man, because I listened to their SDP and they were like, what's going on? And I told them, I said, it's the fucking ownership group. They love Daryl Sutter. They love him.
Guys.
I would not be surprised, and you guys are going to scoff and roll your eyes because this is how I feel. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that the next general manager of this team is Daryl Sutter. I would not even be remotely surprised.
Buddy. I don't want that for you.
Nobody
I don't want
does.
that for me either.
Nobody does. You guys are Leaf fans. You guys don't want that. You could be empathetic.
We've gone through the rough GMs. Like, also we have the answer in chat of Klimchuk.
I knew it was a Chuck.
Thank you, James Johnson.
I was gonna guess Morgan Klimchuk. I thought Morgan Klimchuk was the.
It is. I checked. In the 2013, he was selected 28th overall from the Regina Pats.
I was going to say Klimchuk or Shinkarik, but I think Shinkarik was actually a Canucks prospect.
That was Vancouver.
And then he was traded to the Flames, or claimed by the Flames, one for the other.
One more thing on prospects, talking back to earlier. You're talking about how great the Calgary Wranglers are. They are tied in the AHL in points. Guess who they're tied with, Auddie? It's the Marlies.
Oh. So how does this affect the Leafs?
It made me laugh because I'm sitting like as we talk. I'm like, the Leafs have pulled up 17 dudes from the Marlies this season because all of our defensemen didn't exist for a few minutes. So we've seen a lot of the Marlies. A lot of people more than usual recognize the Marlies. It made me laugh. I'm like, I know the Calgary Wranglers are good. I wonder how the Marlies are. 5 points. Anyway, and we see come on. You got to play the kids, especially if they make a decision to make a sell, especially if you're trading your wingers, especially if you're trading you gotta. Justin the Wolf, the baby goalie, he's a fascinating. He's such a fascinating. He's very tall.
He's going to be the best goalie in the AHL for 2 years in a row now.
He's I think he's like 21.
He's
young. You've got people in the system, it's fascinating. But I also as an aside, I do agree with Seb's point of there's only so much you can build in the draft, and what does this look like? If you can make some calls, see who's available. I'm super curious if Brad Treliving has a bunch of phone calls tonight. And is he hanging up on any of them? If Kyle Dubas is calling you, are you answering the phone?
If it's Kyle Dubas or Pierre Dorian, hang up. They're going to fleece the hell out of you. Absolutely hang up the phone.
We have a first. We want to talk. I have someone in chat, Lieutenant Penman, I think, said, they're like, there's no first in play. I'm like, we have one. It's Boston's.
Yep.
Very fun.
Yep. Okay, I wanna put a cap on the Flames talk for a minute because we're at a pretty. Oh, at least we're at pretty much our peak viewership right now. We have a lot of people watching, which is good. And I think this is a good time to pivot to something that is not Calgary Flames related or Toronto Maple Leafs related. It's league related, and it's important. It's something that hasn't been, I think, taken serious enough. And it's something that you actually brought up, Seb. I'll let you kind of lead the way, and then I would love the open dialogue between the three of us to kind of explain why this is so important, why accessibility is so important for fans. So if you want to take the lead on this, I don't mean to throw you on the spot, but it's
Oh.
kind of your thing. So if you don't mind, just share kind of what's been going on there for those who maybe haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's something that's been new, and we're still adapting to a lot of things. But my daughter in November, or sorry, early October, went into a medical emergency. She had a seizure that lasted about 8 minutes, and once you're over 5, like it's very imperative that somebody gets to her immediately. So we had called 911, and we waited and waited. They ran tests, found out she has epilepsy. With epilepsy, she's only 5. With epilepsy, um, there's certain things trigger the brain, and inside it's neurological.
Hmm.
Um, and we've been very careful, so like I can't bring her to OHL games very much anymore. Shout out to Oshawa Generals who actually were willing to accommodate her. um Unfortunately for them, their lights were out of service, their strobe lights and stuff, so we didn't have to worry, but they were going to accommodate her if they were. um can't bring her because of flashing lights. And the NHL this year introduced digital ads on the boards, and they haven't fixed them yet. Since day one, there's been issues of flickering, players getting lost, like on the broadcast because they hit somebody in the boards, or the Leafs when they wear white and the digital ads are changing. It actually flickers a bit, and all it takes is a split second for people like my daughter or other people who have epilepsy or just any other neurological issues, um, and disabilities. It takes just a split second, and you could be in a medical emergency. So we've actually had to pull her back. We can't watch games anymore with her. And she's somebody, she's just learning the game. But the one thing about her was, every Saturday, because she knew that she was going to get a slice of pizza, she said, "Daddy, hockey game, Daddy." And she'll go throw her Leaf pajamas on, or she'll go throw her Sens shirt on because she don't get me started.
Oh
But
no.
um,
In our house rivalries.
yeah, my son's favorite toy is a Yuppie from
Oh no,
Montreal.
you're
Oh.
hooped. You're hooped.
You're having so much fun. Oh.
So yeah, it's been weird, but I've been trying to put the word out, and for the most part, it's well received. CTV ran a piece. Am I allowed to say CTV on here?
Oh yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
Shout
CTV
out.
ran a piece. Um, and other people have reached out, and they're trying to figure out ways to help. I know a certain insider on Sportsnet had reached out as well. Um, and he had told me that they're trying to figure it out behind the scenes, but the problem that we have is it's taking accessibility, like they're not making these games accessible anymore. And I've already trying to fight for myself because for those who are here, I'm an African Canadian. I come from a black family. That's who I am.
Hmm.
And I haven't necessarily been able to fit in the game, um, like everybody else. So I'm fighting for myself, but now I'm fighting for my daughter and for other people who, can no longer watch. And for the people that are going to be like, hey, if like, just watch the game, don't watch the ads. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. That's a very ignorant way of
It's a
thinking.
tunnel vision way of thinking too, you'd
Yeah.
think.
Especially we're talking about potential kids. Um, there's a lot. It's a lot to. There's a lot about this, but the one thing that we're frustrated with is we thought we were making progress because a couple weeks ago the Leafs actually turned it off for a game, and they were on Sportsnet,
Hmm.
and they turned it off because one, it was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. Um, it's on my Twitter, and I can make reference to it somewhere. But they turned it off for the game, and finally, I was like, you know what? I went up and I woke her up, and I was like, hey, come down. By the end of the game, they were back on.
No.
And they're still glitchy, and it just doesn't seem like anybody, cares. And it's not that I don't want them on. I feel like there's a world where you can have these on, but you gotta perfect the technology.
Of course.
And by them continuing to ignore that, they're not listening to, the people who are having issues, watching games, who are getting headaches, potential triggers for seizures. And again, seizures are they're no joke. And just to get absolutely real for a second, I saw my daughter's first one, and that right there, and that right there, and that right there are holes in the wall because I didn't know how to handle myself in that situation because I couldn't do anything for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to work through some therapy through it because I have some PTSD about it.
Of course.
It's not
Yeah.
fun. It's very tough, especially when it's somebody that you love. I just want her to be able to watch the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know how to follow that up because it's like.
Do you want me to give you some thoughts?
Please,
Like,
because I'm trying to. I'm
what it-
frustrated and I want to articulate my words properly.
So I don't deal with epilepsy, but I also am a chronically ill person. You'll see me probably through the show pressing on certain parts of my body that are starting to be like, you've been sitting for a while, which we're good. These are important conversations, but what does chronic pain look like in sports is a very fascinating thing, especially when a trigger is a television. As I said, I don't have epilepsy, but I also have eye twitches, and the boards give me eye twitches. I have chronic headaches. The boards have started to trigger the headaches, and they're not epilepsy, but they're awful. They are exhausting. Mm-hmm. It is turn off the game. It is turn off lights. It is an impact on my life through that. And there are disabled people deserve to watch hockey. That's kind of full stop. That's kind of where I'd like this conversation, at least for me. That's where it starts. Disabled people deserve to access the sport. Black folks deserve to be able to access this sport. Queer folks deserve to access this sport. That is where the bar begins. The conversation begins that people deserve to have access to these sports. And if you're being told, hey, this isn't accessible to me, your first question should be, can we turn off the programming to fix it? Can we turn off the board ads for 3 games to fix it? And the answer is no, they probably won't, because they're like, well, we're going to lose revenue. Then why do the boards need to move? Sometimes I even notice it for folks who aren't disabled that the boards, sometimes they have this little, and at least on the Toronto, the milk ads, have a truck that drives across the screen. Like they drive across the ads. And fun fact, for about 2 weeks, I couldn't track the puck all the time because I was distracted by the truck moving. Mm-hmm. And little things like that. When they were promoting the reverse retro jerseys, they had jerseys popping up on the ads. They are distracting things. So on worst thing, they are impacting people in accessibility. They're impacting a lot of folks in the game. And I'm really grateful that folks have reached out to you, Seb, and that people are taking this and wanting to have these conversations, because the only way to fix this, the only way that you can get better at disability, especially if you're in a phase of non-disability, is in the listening stages. And I feel like a lot of people would do really well in hockey if we were listening. I think that's a really important thing. Go ahead.
And that's and that's all I want. I like,
yeah, you want to be heard.
This is the Leaf fan in me for a second. I take pride in the fact that I cheer for a team that can carry financial water for most of the league. Because at the end of the day, as long as my team exists, I'll always be able to watch hockey, professional hockey. The thing that I struggle with is, I want the league to make money, because I want there to be a period of time where the Leafs can just spend and spend and spend.
Yeah.
And buy teams, just buy your team. I want that to be a thing. and again, that's it's a very Leafy way of thinking, but that's, so I just don't understand the people that are so concerned hey, with the revenue, like with what Sportsnet, and I'm not just singling them out. I single them out because they own exclusive rights
Mm-hmm.
to hockey for the most part, like in Canada. You can spend 5.2 or $5.4 billion on, you know, making sure that these games are available on TV for the most part. Blackouts, and don't get me started.
Hold on there.
But like, you can't, like, go to the University of Waterloo, go to a tech university, and just, hey, how can we fix this problem? Because there's a solution out there. They're just not looking for it because, and I'm not saying it's an easy fix. I don't get the logistics of everything, but this
That's
is,
not my
again,
job. That's yours. My job
yes,
is to
like,
come to you with the problems.
I've been vocal about the problem, and we've been, look. I can speak for Robert too when I say we fight for a lot of issues that aren't necessarily being heard in hockey. So the fact that it's getting ignored, for the most part,
It's
from the NHL doesn't necessarily surprise me. But like, and this is the thing, like, people were mostly receptive, but then there were people who, like, somebody had messaged me like, oh, you and your wife should have got DNA tests instead of giving birth to somebody who's gonna be a like an issue on Earth, which is such an ignorant thing to say
bro.
about a 5-year-old.
Just
Or people calling her the, I won't use non-inclusive language here, but people were calling her, the
non-inclusive
R
language.
word. Um, Somebody said that they would beat her head in. And this is my 5-year-old,
Mm.
somebody in kindergarten. Um, and then, you got people that carry water for the league that are, oh, if you don't want the league to make money, just don't watch. Or, oh, you get these people behind fake Twitter accounts like, oh, I have epilepsy and I've never had an issue. And it's like, okay, I have type 1 diabetes. I have a tenant who rents my basement who also has type 1 diabetes. Mine is a little worse than his. Like,
It's
not just
not all
because you
things are the
have something,
same.
it's not, yes. So people are just, there's so much ignorance out there. And I just want to get the story out, and I want them to get it right. My problem isn't with ad boards or digital ads. My problem is with the way that they've run it out and they've refused to fix it. And again, it's very hockey of them to just not do it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the comment section and everything is gonna be filled with hockey fans, and everybody watching this is probably a hockey fan. This game sucks.
It
This
does.
game sucks. As much as I love it, this game sucks.
Sucks sometimes, and
No, it
we have
sucks.
experienced it
It sucks more.
firsthand.
It sucks more often than not, and you know, I feel for people like both of you who are fighting the good fight, and people like your daughter who don't aren't able to enjoy. I put myself in your daughter's shoes. Like growing up, I loved watching hockey with my dad, with my grandpa, like with my family. They're the reason why I got into the sport. And to have that taken away is, first of all, for something as stupid and easily, fixable as a board. It's just, like, I can't put it into words because it's just so fucking frustrating for me, because and I'm not trying to take away from how frustrated you guys are whatsoever at all. I'm just adding to it because, like, from the outside looking in, I want everybody to enjoy the game. I want everybody to feel included. And I just don't get why it's so hard for some people, and especially the league. Like, it's disappointing. It's a letdown. I wish things were different. If there's one thing I'm gonna take away from all of this is just, like, how strong you guys are, how strong that, like, the communities are that are not represented well in this sport, and haven't really been treated the best. I just applaud you guys for keeping on the good fight, and I just hope that more people will join in trying to help with these things, and just putting an end to the bullshit. So like that's all it is.
Hope so.
It's bullshit. It's frustrating, and I like I said, it's just hard to put into words because so many emotions run through you. Like just hearing the story about your daughter, like just breaks my fucking heart. Hearing the stories of what everybody has to go through in this game, it breaks my heart even more. So like I wish things were different. That's all.
My friend Chanel, and I believe Seb and Auddie, you both know
Yeah.
Chanel, who has done lots of different things, currently works with
She's
Hockey
awesome.
Tomorrows. She's great. Shout out Chanel. Says all the time to me, and we say it to each other, I can't fix hockey if I leave it. And Seb and I are both sitting here like, we don't want to leave. We want to fix. And and the fix isn't a second. The fix isn't this. The fix is things like Avery just suggested in the chat, which is pre-testing this during the preseason. Like, is checking, is you have a situation room in Toronto. Like, we have the ability. You're a multi-million-dollar friend. Like, you have the ability to check things before you publish them on television. There's options, and I think that's all. I think all we want to do is be heard. But Seb, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think, and you can definitely you'll probably agree with this too. I think the one thing that frustrates me, I do work with I do some work with Black Girl Hockey Club too.
Shout out, I love them.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Absolutely. We part of and just to and I'll bring it back to my daughter, and you'll see why. But like when I fight for me to fit into the game, when I celebrate a black hockey player, when I send love to Akeem or Kevin or the many that I see, the problem, some issues that I run into is, some people be like, well, why do you make it about color? And it's like, okay, I grew up where there was 11 black hockey players in the NHL, and that's like less than 1% of the league. So like let me celebrate something that in my community it's a big deal. And I'm tired of people saying like, oh well, like, don't make it about race, or like, oh, hockey's not going to change for a few of you, thinking that there's only a few of us black people who like hockey. And it's the same thing that I ran into with the conversation about epilepsy and the ads. Is people are like, well, the NHL isn't just going to change for a few people like her. But it's like 1 in 100 people. 1 in 100 people have epilepsy, and then you're not factoring in that like people that have had concussions. You're not factoring in people that have chronic headaches, because those aren't things that you see on a daily basis. Like those aren't things that people can just see. So you don't know who's living with what. Like this isn't just this, I'm not doing this for 40 or 50 people. There are plenty of people, thousands, 100,000s, that want to enjoy this game the same way that any other able-bodied person can. And the unfortunate part is we're not at a stage where that's possible. And the NHL, again, they've never been forward thinking. And there's a fear that if they don't pander to an older audience, it seems, and I'm not calling out old school fans, because there's old school fans who adapt new ideas, and I get it. But they don't want to change, and they're never going to change. And I want to continue to do my part, because Janelle is right. There's been days where I've wanted to leave this game, and I take pride in this. And I know that he's not a man for all the people, but Elliot Friedman actually reached out to me and was like, hey, you're a valued part of this game, and it sent me a really nice message, and like it just made me wanna do better. And I'm gonna continue to try for not just people who look like me, or people who identify a certain way, or women, or I'm not just gonna keep doing the work for them. I'm doing the work for everybody. Because there's room for all of us at this table.
Absolutely.
Pull out some chairs. My last little thought is like, disabled people deserve to live these long, beautiful lives, and your daughter's gonna live this long, beautiful life, right? And I really hope that hockey has a place in it, and that's like, and is able to have a place in it. Is like it's able to be accessible. That there's space. And fun fact, there's ways to make that space, and I'd really love them to put in the effort to make it. Like
Yep.
that's the thing. Disabled people literally love this game, and just because you don't see them on the ice, like doesn't just because you don't see certain things on the ice, you don't see queer hockey players. There are queer hockey fans. Just because you don't see things doesn't mean there are fans. Like disabled folks want to love hockey. Please let us love hockey. Please let folks with epilepsy love hockey. Please let people love this sport. We're all you got, guys. We're all the fan base, or what? We're all you got. You might want to keep us around. Be nice.
Of course. I don't want. Sorry,
Go
no.
ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't want you guys going anywhere. I don't want. I know you guys have said you thought about leaving the game, and I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I understand the logic behind it. I don't want you guys going anywhere, like, at all. I
want to hang out. I got things to do. I got things to change.
This
Let's
is it,
hang.
and I want to help
Seb
with
and I
that.
got work to do.
I want to help with that, and I know other people do. So I guess like to kind of like wrap it up, and I'm not trying to wrap it up. I'm just saying, like, I want to make it a call to action. Like, what can we do, Seb? I'll start with you. What can we do? What can be done to combat some of this stuff from like my perspective or the viewer's perspective? What can we do? Seb, I'll start with you, and then Rob, I'll let you follow that up too.
I think first and foremost, I think that um, we all got to use whatever platform you're on. You just use it for good. Um, I've kind of dialed it back on socials lately. Um, with I'm going through some personal stuff, but I'm always trying to make myself available to those who need it, and to find ways to just make everything better for everybody, whether it's shooting a DM to somebody having a bad day, or sharing somebody's work, or if I see somebody is in a little bit of distress, I'll try and buy them a coffee. I'm not suggesting that people got to do anything with their wallet. I'm I got my own way of doing things, but just you know, when it comes to issues that don't necessarily affect you, just think of those who it does affect, because the more conversations we can get surrounding around things, the faster change will come. So, if you see somebody telling a story about, something close, near and dear to them, help uplift their voice, share the articles. Um, that's that's pretty much all I got. Um, I feel like if I go too far in this, that it might get a little selfish, because I'm trying to change this, like a lot of things about this game, not just for my daughter, but for myself, for Robert, for a lot of people who don't get to live in total comfort in this game. I'm trying to do all the work. So the patience isn't, um but
Sorry.
just be there for people who have a story to tell. Um and use your platforms for good. Call out the evils of the world. Um, yeah, that's it. I this Auddie, this is helping. Like
I hope
this
so.
is
This is
doing something.
what I
So,
wanted. I
I'd
wanted to
like it
help.
too.
Like,
This is it's gonna go a long way, because like I know like I'm familiar with both of you off the camera here.
mhm.
So I know that when it comes to these things, that the two people here that are beside me virtually, um, they have good intent, and they've always been there for me when I needed somebody to uplift my voice, and I've been there for them too. But this helps more than you know, and truthfully, I'm sweating and fighting back tears because like the one thing that hurts is because of the epilepsy. My daughter is gonna have like a pretty serious surgery in the summer,
Mm.
and like it's mentally draining, and it's all because of everything that's been brought on. Like it was so tough. Like it was
Hmm.
so tough, and you know, I don't know. Go ahead.
We could wax poetic for forever, and as like it's an interesting like as like sitting in like the shoes of like disability, I've watched my own family go through what it means to watch their kid have chronic illness, so that's a thing. um because Seb said it was too selfish, I'll do it for him. Retweet Seb's content. Like if you see him talking about epilepsy, retweet it.
Hmm.
If you can't afford, like financially is not always the answer. Social media platforms are a thing because a lot of folks retweet things that Seb does. Platforms like CTV pick it up. Platforms like Sportsnet reach out to you. The way the social internet goes, that is the best way you can do without financial. So that's my like answer of like, fun fact, Seb won't say it. I will. You can retweet Seb. It's okay. You're allowed to retweet Seb. It actually will be very helpful. My other thing is I don't like have a lot of other answers. Seb gave the practical answer. I'll give the wax poetic answer. This is a marathon, not a sprint. This
Hmm.
isn't going to be fixed in a day. It's going to take a couple months, maybe years, maybe decades. My hope for those who are trying to be allies is you keep running. My hope for those fighting, I hope you get moments of rest. That's my answer. Because, fun fact, we can't do this fight forever at 100%. That turns into burnout real quick. So, if I'm deciding to take a rest, I know Auddie's going to pick it up and run. If Seb decides to take a rest, I'm going to start running. And that's the answer. We can all start running. We can also all get periods of rest. Because, yeah, it'd be really great. Like, it's like Black History Month is 1 month. We do this all year. Pride is 1 month. I continue to be gay in July. It's called Wrath Month. Like,
Please continue
that's
to as
what
well.
it's. Yeah, like
Don't
that's the
stop.
thing. That's the answer. Is like I hope people who can keep running keep running. I hope the people who deserve the rest get the rest they need. That's
Yeah,
my poetic answer.
it no it,
Retweet Seb. There you go.
it was beautiful, and yeah, you guys put it perfectly. I'm gonna keep advocating for you guys, and I hope that everybody that's watching will too, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't want to keep running, as you put it, and don't want to advocate for stuff like this. But I just hope, from my 2 cents, for what I can input to this conversation, is that I hope that more people continue to advocate for this stuff, and that eventually we get to a point where those people outweigh those who don't. Um,
Nice.
and that's kind of what, like, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of people who, unfortunately, it's never going to get to that point. And I'm not, trying to be negative or whatnot, but I don't think it's ever going to get to a point where you're going to have absolutely nobody who has a problem with something. I just hope we get to a point where the balance is a little bit more in the favor of those who are advocating. So
Good job, everybody.
I know
Good
that
talk.
I know the chat is going off. A lot of people are really really enjoying this, and it's hard. It's not easy. But I want to thank both of you for talking about this stuff, because it's super 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 important. It takes a lot of like guts to go on a platform like this and talk about these things. And I applaud both of you, because you both do an incredible job on social media with it. You both are so well spoken. I love both of you so much. Your work and everything you guys do. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of both of you, and I just can't nail that down enough.
Big applause to Seb, because I get to
Yes,
applaud you now.
please. Like, that was like,
Good talk.
it was good. And I think I needed that. I think a lot of people needed to hear that too. This is
Especially
important.
after your team loses. It's time to think about like, oh,
Ah,
let's like as much as
fuck the Flames. This I don't give a
we're
shit.
here,
This stuff
you
is
know,
way more important than a win or a
yeah,
loss.
like we're here for hockey. This conversation starts at hockey, but like it's a bigger. So it's kind of nice after like a loss or even a win. Like, wow, I'm
Mhm.
feeling all these things. That we're still dealing with this stuff every day. Let's keep working.
Absolutely.
Like, it's great to see.
Absolutely.
Can I say one thing about
Absolutely.
Calgary that we didn't really touch on today? That's bigger
Sure.
news than. Well, a Calgary legend retired today, Brienne Decker.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's important that we acknowledge that too, because she had an unreal career.
She did.
And look, I know some people are looking for something to feel good about going to bed tonight.
Mhm.
Just pay homage to one of the greatest women of all time. Never lace them up. One of the greatest hockey players. Like, let's remove sex from it. She was excellent.
Mhm.
Um, uh, so there's that. I think that's worth noting. Plus that's something a little more positive.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. So, stick taps, clap your hands, throw your hands up in the air. We're celebrating her. I can't believe I forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up. That's important too.
It's been a long day.
Robert, I'm gonna say the thing.
Do the thing.
I'm gonna say the thing. Peter's
Do
in the
it.
chat too, so he's gonna get to witness
Hello, Peter.
me using his line for probably the first time. We're gonna put a bow on today's episode of Game Over Calgary. Honestly, I can't thank you both enough for this. This was so fucking incredible. I really enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, I can't thank both of you enough. Rob, we'll start with you. Just plug everything you're doing. A lot of people know what you're up to. Plug where they can find you. Just the floor is yours to pump the tires a little bit here. Go ahead.
You can find almost everything I do at this YouTube channel. It's really easy. I'm the community manager for SDPN, so I do all types of different things behind the scenes at SDPN, and we're gonna end the show with what we're working on tomorrow, I guess. Or do you want to say it now?
We've talked. It's been out there. Yeah, we're gonna do the game over
Trade deadline.
I'll be hosting that with a panel of excellent people from SDPN Sports. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a few hours, 2 hours, 2 hours that we're doing. 2 hours.
4 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's 2 to 4.
2 to 4 in Mountain.
Math.
Yes, there you go. Perfect work. So yeah, 2 to 4.
So,
Game over trade deadline edition. So we're going to be recapping pretty much everything that went down or that goes down tomorrow and recapping everything that's happened. So look forward to that. Check our Twitter for that. Seb, floor is yours as well, please.
SDPN. Oh, and you can find me at rs_Malloy on Twitter, MOLLOY. But most of the stuff I do is here. So.
That's right. Seb, go ahead, please. Everything, spill everything you're up to and where you're at.
Well, first off, I'm the president of the Liz Howard fan club.
Yes.
We are exactly like Beyonce's Beehive, but more elite. So if you want a membership, find me in either Kitchener or Ottawa. You can find me on Twitter at SebJackson90. There's a link tree to my other socials there. I do some minor scouting for a company called Smart Scouting.
Josh Tesler represent.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great, what a great man.
He's awesome. We love Josh.
And I was also one of the people that helped create the Get Uncomfortable pledge for Black Girl Hockey Club. So if you are ready to take a step in making hockey inclusive, there's a pledge on the website. Just Google Black Girl Hockey Club. And if you have the means, they offer scholarships to Black girls in underfunded areas to play hockey. So if you have the means, by all means. And next Wednesday is my birthday. Next Wednesday is International Women's Day. And every year on International Women's Day, me and my wife put together care packages and we take it down to the women's shelter. We get feminine products, and stuff like that, and we just build small kits. So if you wanna help with that, reach out to me on Twitter. Let's all do our part in this world. Um, leave a good footprint here.
Absolutely,
Let's
man.
let's do some good stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna conclude with the world needs more people like Rob Malloy and Seb Jackson. I'm gonna say that. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been awesome. Thank you to the viewers who have stuck it out with us for this
Thank you.
almost hour and a half of important conversation. This has been great. I appreciate
job.
everybody. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for watching. If you're listening on playback, I hope you liked it. This has been an extended version of Game Over Calgary, but it's been a very good one. So if you did enjoy it, please be sure to give us that rating. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe or
It makes
follow.
Steve happy.
Yeah, it makes Steve happy. Who doesn't want to make Steve happy? The Leafs. That's the answer. So if you're listening on playback, whatever podcatcher you're listening from, give us a rating there and follow the podcast there. The next Game Over is going to be on Saturday when the Calgary Flames take on the Minnesota Wild. It is going to be Indigenous Celebration Night at the Scotiabank Saddledome, so that should be a pretty good celebration at the Dome as well. Peter Klein will have your show on Saturday. On behalf of Rob, on behalf of Seb, my name is Auddie James. Thank you for tuning into Game Over Calgary, and we will see you guys on Saturday. Peace.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Incredible. That was good. Sorry, I always mute my mic when we do that. Yeah, I do it just so that I don't, like, if we're still live. I had it once where I was still live by accident. I don't think anybody caught it because I cut it out of the podcast. No, you guys, like, I wasn't just fluffing there. That was really good. Thank you for both for making the time for this, because this was it was good. It was heavy, but it was good, and it needed to be. A lot of these things needed to be brought up, and yeah, I want you both to know, like, I'm not just bullshitting. Like, if you guys ever need anything, like, please, like, call me whenever, text me whenever, message me whenever. You said you're in Kitchener. I'm a Guelph guy. We got a bit of a connection there, Seb. So yeah, well, I mean, I lived in Guelph for 17 years, so go Storm. But oh yeah, right, nice. Yeah. Who is that information directed to? Both of us? That sounds awesome. Yeah, please, like, yeah. I remember seeing the tweet. I think you posted it. Right.